Hello, YouTube. Welcome to the show. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Sometimes you toss it on the TV, you clean the kitchen, whatever you do. Sometimes you just sit on your couch and watch us. However you enjoy it. Thanks for doing so. Smash that like button. Go ahead and subscribe and comment with your favorite number one overall pick. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host. If you're listening to the show, it is Tuesday, April 26th. We're like 48 hours from the draft. If you're watching the show on YouTube, youtube.com/pick6. And even if you're listening to the show, throw us a bone and go subscribe to the show on YouTube or vice versa, however you want to do it. Subscribe and rate and review and whatnot. It's draft season. We are getting so close. The NFL draft Monday, April 25th. If you're watching on YouTube, we're gonna do a mock draft because it's mock draft Monday. Joining me, the amazing trifecta: Ryan Wilson, Josh Edwards, Chris Trapasso. What's up, boys?
Are you as excited about figuring out which picks you made in your mock draft as we are? Because you didn't make any of them when we did.
I made two of them. Technically. Yeah, and it was my wife's 41st birthday, and I spent the weekend.
Save it.
Look, is your wife fine with a single birthday? No,
I'll tell you.
It has to be three.
I'll tell you this story. So tell me if this sounds familiar. I was doing FFT this morning with Azer and Schrager and Dave Richard.
They are putting you on every single platform possible.
And Dan Schneider. And Azer showed up 2 minutes late. I said, "What's up, Adam Brinson?" And Dave Richard was actually late too, and he said I had to take Robbie to the pool. That's why I was late. That's the joke that Dave Richard made because that's the joke.
That's pretty good.
That's the one you always lead into. Robbie is the best swimmer in the state of North Carolina with the amount of time you've taken that young man to the pool.
Look, the pool thing is not a joke.
Just like your wife's birthday. Happy birthday, AK.
I'm being serious. Does your wife accept a single day to celebrate her birthday if it's on a Saturday, or is it an entire weekend? Because, buddy, it's an entire weekend at this house. I'll tell you that much. Not by my choice.
In her defense, she takes the other 363 days off from Will Brinson. So those 2 days, she needs your Had
a great birthday.
Good.
Got her a massage on Saturday morning. I then coached Robbie's flag football team on Saturday afternoon. We shut out the other team in an epic performance by our defense. And
are you what's your role on the team?
I'm the head coach. We're good. We're good, buddy.
Are you like
I got an offensive scheme that is dominating this league.
Are you more like Les Robinson? Do you wear a sweater? Or are you more like the guy with the man boobs, the Florida State guy, the NC State coach? What's his name?
I went full Gruden and wore a green Masters visor.
What message?
And was fist pumping. We had multiple pick sixes, and I'm like, visor off, like fist pumping, running down the field, and then I'm sorry, I didn't mean to celebrate in your face. Other coach who tried to call me out for an illegal play earlier in the game. Ooh, what's that? You don't have any points? Hate to see it. Oh!
Most entitled coach.
How are you?
Most entitled coach in 8-year-old flag football history, Will Brinson.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got a flag football dunk, so I believe you can check that off the bingo card.
If it's a drinking game, you're dead.
I'm just waiting for Sean Payton to show up and start coaching against you here in a couple of weeks.
Or Kevin James.
Kevin James, yeah, that's right. Travis, how we doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good. I am glad that we're doing this mock draft because that means I have one more left to do for this whole cycle. I've done, I think, 32 of them. I know Ryan and Josh feel the same. I'm doing good, but I'm like so ready for the draft to be here that I don't know what to do with myself for the next couple of days.
Yeah, Wilson will be in Vegas. We will be doing I don't know. We're doing live reaction. I don't know what we're doing for the show. I started to mention it the other day, and as soon as I mentioned it, like even briefly spoke about it publicly, even in vague terms, and it all went poof and changed and disappeared. 12 steps in the chat says he's loading up on 4 units on Kenny Pickett number 2. Don't do that. Kenny Pickett is not going second at all, but you did get a legendary Brett Favre on NFL All Day. Wilson, are you signed up for NFL All Day yet?
I don't even know what that is. What is that?
It's the remember Top Shot.
I was going to ask you, is it one of those stupid things?
It's that for NFL.
It's 2 years too late, isn't it?
Oh, it's who knows? Would you like to buy my Top Shot collection?
Yes, I'll give you the change.
Deal.
Yes. You know it's gone sideways because number one, you're not talking about it, and Debo would actually engage you in conversations. He doesn't want to talk about it either.
I DM Debo. I was like, "Are you like?" Because I actually stumbled on a pack that was being released. I was like, "Are you buying these things?" He's like,
Debo's all he's knees deep into Yellowstone. He has some time for NFTs. Are those NFTs?
Yeah.
All right, but look, before we get going, I want to ask you guys two of my favorite prop bets. I don't think I've talked to any of you guys about this. I did this morning for HQ and for the podcast where people show up on time. All right, the first one, not you, someone else. The first one, Chris Olave over 16.5. Where are you guys at on that?
"Ooh, that's down a one slot from 17.5 earlier."
I got these last night, so I got these on Sunday night, so maybe they've changed, but 16.5 as of Sunday night.
Oh no, I'm saying it's creeped down a little bit. I'm taking under on most of these wide receivers.
Traps, what do you think?
I think wide
Under.
receivers off the board.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously there because the Chargers are at 17, but it feels like Olave's been on the draft radar forever. He's from Ohio State, the big combine. I think he'll go under pick 16.5, or I guess pick 17.
Josh?
Oh, you're all wrong. The answer is over.
Thank you, Josh.
Oh. How come?
There's going to be probably four guys to go before him, and then you have to count. This is the math I'm doing.
And the four are London, Jamo.
I love that you're calling him
Wilson.
Jamo now.
That's what his Twitter handle is, Jamo.
Oh, okay. Garrett Wilson, yep. And Traylon Burks, I think.
Oh.
Maybe Traylon Burks and Olave could be.
Burks over under.
I don't know. But that could be the sort of.
Traylon Burks over under is 23.5. That might be smash under.
Even still, even if you flip-flop Olave, you're still going to have a run on defensive tackles, offensive tackles. The quarterback's going to fit in there somewhere. The edge guys, most importantly, they're probably second highest on the list, or maybe the highest on the list. And I think I can find 16 guys that go ahead of not every wide receiver, but all but two wide receivers. So that's where I'm at on that.
I think the argument is dissipating a little bit in recent years, but I still think that some NFL teams have a trouble getting out of their own way. I think they have thresholds that certain players have to meet. And I think when you look at his frame, that's going to be an issue for some teams. I mean, that may not be the case in 5 years, but I think as we sit here today, I think some teams will have an issue with his size.
That's a very good point, and I think you are correct. Any other?
Oh, yeah, one more for you.
There you go.
So I'll just give you you tell me what you think. Total ACC players in the first round, 4.5. Which way are you leaning?
I have been talking about this one for, obviously I didn't spend any time thinking about the draft over the weekend while pampering my wife and coaching flag football. But
of course not.
Of course not. Had I done any thinking about the draft, I would have thought about this ACC total. And I can't get to 5, but I don't want to take the under because the back end of this draft is a complete and total mystery that no one is going to be able to get correctly in mock drafts. And Andrew Booth is a good enough prospect, the cornerback out of Clemson, that if he and Zion Johnson creep into the first round, you are getting 5 easily.
Not easily. I think it's close. What do you think, Traps?
Well, you're getting Jermaine Johnson,
Icky, Jermaine, Kenny.
Oh, I guess Kenny Pickett could fall in the first round too.
No, I think he probably makes it. But
Pickett
I think
and Zion.
I think
Zion
Johnson,
Johnson, that's
who are
4.
the Icky and Johnson are the only two I think guarantees to go in the first round, right?
well, I think Zion's going to go, and I think Kenny's going to go.
Zion, too.
Don't you think Zion could be a second round guy?
I think he's going to go in the first. I think their team.
I do too. Everyone does.
Is this one of the years that we are including Notre Dame as an ACC school or an independent?
That is something that should definitely be clarified with your
find that out
first. But I don't think we qualify.
I wasn't counting it here, but yeah, that's worth noting.
If Kyle Hamilton counted as an ACC player, and he has played in the ACC because he played in it during the pandemic year, if he qualified, then the over is a lock. I don't think he does, so I will take the under.
So the only two other possibilities would be Sam Howell and Andrew Booth, right? There's not an ACC
that's
guy
what I had
missing. Okay.
Sam Howell could go 32 to the Lions. That wouldn't be that crazy. They like Sam Howell a lot. But if Sam Howell goes 32, you have to assume that Kenny Pickett has also already gone.
Mm-hmm. I feel like Andrew Booth is not going to go in the first round. So I think Howell is really the only ticket to get you to 5.
Yeah. And you also
with all the injuries,
Zion, who I know we think is going to go in the first round, but is look, no one is guaranteed. Once you get past like 15, I think it's a free for all.
Yeah, I think that's right. I like the under though.
I do too.
I think it's safer. Yeah.
Where are you at on the over under wide receivers, Wilson?
Where's it at? 5.5.
It's insanely juiced now. It's still.
Yeah, I can see the over. It only takes Jahan Dotson or Christian Watson to sneak in there. This assumes, of course, that Treylon Burks goes in round 1, which maybe he doesn't. Like 5 feels right to me. I don't think I may have had 6 going once. I've done 10 million mock drafts, but I think there's value in the second round of those guys, but that doesn't mean the Chiefs don't think about it or whatever, the Packers or whomever down there at the bottom.
I don't want to lay the juice. It's like minus 286, minus 300 plus, depending on where you look. I don't want to lay the juice to go over just because there's a path. There's a path to go under. But if I got 6.5 at like even juice, I would want to take the over on that if that makes any sense at all.
I think it kind of depends where the run on the position starts and ends as well, because if Chris Olave is gone, by 16.5, then we're getting a 6 wide. I think Peter King had 3 in his top 12 this morning.
Yes.
In his mock draft. So there's obviously a lot of people that think that the run is going to start early. And if you truly believe that, then I think there's probably good odds at getting a 6th there in the back end of the first round.
And I feel like from Green Bay at 22, Arizona at 23, Bills at 25, Green Bay again at 28, the Chiefs at 2 picks, even the Lions at 32. Like there's a bunch of teams that are presumably in the wide receiver market. So even if we are only at 3 or 4 by the top 20, I think we could see 3 more in like the back third of the first round.
All right, let's get started with this mock. It's technically a live mock. It's also a live mock in the sense that I didn't actually make any picks. I made like a couple picks, and therefore we'll finish the mock draft live. Again, so you know what, Wilson? Sometimes you have to be willing to make sacrifices for your family.
And
we can't all just be emotionless robots who Heisman our families and say, "I'm sorry, I don't care for you. I have a mock to do." I love my family. They love me. The whole thing was a sarcastic. Anyway, Wilson, you get to be on the clock with the first overall pick. And this is not, we should clarify, a what will they do mock.
Oh.
Right? Or maybe it is.
I thought it was kind of a mix. I thought it was
kind of a mix. Kind of a mix.
Okay, yeah.
Wilson's going to take someone that the Jaguars probably aren't taking.
Yeah. I'm taking Ike Ekwonu because I think it's in their best interest. So I've talked about it 10 trillion times. You can take an edge rusher, even if it's Aiden Hutchinson, the team's not going to be markedly better. Ike Ekwonu or Evan Neal or Charles Cross, whomever you can put out there along the offensive line to help Trevor Lawrence quit taking beatings. So I went Ike Ekwonu, number 1. I'm gonna point something out. I want to point a couple things out here. And I know it's too late, but if you've been listening to this podcast and you haven't already bet Trayvon Walker to go first overall, then too late.
Yeah, I mean, it's too late. The ship has sailed. He's minus 150 at minimum. Minus 150 at DraftKings. He's like minus, what are the number 1 odds at Old Caesars?
Caesars minus 200.
Yeah, he's minus 200 to be the first overall.
He was plus 150 at 10 p.m. on Sunday night.
Wow.
Minus 220. I told you.
Just like you talking to that.
I don't want to say, I don't want to suggest that I'm right all the time because I ain't. But I told you on this one, didn't I?
You were right.
Moved the needle here. You moved it. You moved the markets.
This is your Mac Jones.
A couple of points that I've been making over the course of the last 48 hours.
Trevon Walker. Go ahead.
What's that?
I said this is your Mac Jones, and I added very quietly, Mac Jones is better than Trevon Walker.
yeah, sure. I was having a debate with somebody about the arms, like Aiden Hutchinson's arms. Aiden Hutchinson's arms are 32.5 inches. Now, I personally don't think that arm length is like that big of a deal. But you know who does think that arm length is that big of a deal? Trent Baalke. And I was having this debate with somebody, and I was like, I swear to God, I think Trent Baalke really is like a big like arm guy. And so I started going down a Google rabbit hole. And I came across the Press Democrat, which is a paper out in San Francisco, and a blog from 2014, because it was a blog. And the blog is titled, Baalke, I like long arms.
And I cannot lie.
I'm not even kidding.
Did he say I like
investigative reporting?
No, that is the title of the article. Balky, I like long arms.
And I cannot lie was the next words out of his mouth.
Yeah. Exactly. And the other brothers can't deny. Followed up. And here was the question specifically that he answered. Question: how important is arm length when you're evaluating a player? Balky, I like long arms. Last year's draft should tell you that. I think length is important. It's important in every sport. Alden Smith, great leverage player because you can't get to him. He has a 36-inch arm length. All the guys last year on the D-line were 34 or more. I think it's an important trait. It's a trait that's hard to find. If you look at this year's measurements, you're not going to find many players in this year's draft that have 34-plus arm length regardless of position, O-line, D-line, linebacker. So it is a trait that we certainly look at. When you add in the fact that Aiden Hutchinson was coached by Jim Harbaugh, Trent Baalke's sworn mortal enemy, two men that hate each other, there is no chance in hell that Aiden Hutchinson is going first overall in the draft if Trent Baalke has any say whatsoever. Now, can Shad Khan step in and say, you will take Aiden Hutchinson or else you're fired? Yes. Would he undermine both his head coach and his general manager to take Aiden Hutchinson first overall? I don't believe so. And I think the odds now correctly reflect the likelihood of what will happen on Thursday night. Rant over. That being said, I would also take Ike Ekwonu at number 1 if I were the Jaguars, if I were Trent Baalke.
Walker has 35.5-inch arms, by the way.
84.5-inch wingspan.
You know what's interesting? I just did some Photoshop measurements. Trent Baalke's arms, 18 inches. Weird. He's a Pete Prisco of hating short quarterbacks.
It's Trayvon Walker's going 1. He's been going 1 for several weeks. I've been trying to tell everyone.
Here, get up, go do a little dance behind this chair.
I've had my. I'll peacock. Look, I'll celebrate on Thursday.
Who's the first person you're texting? I know it is. Who's the first person you're going to text when Trayvon Walker goes first?
You'll be standing next to him in Las Vegas.
Brinson keeps texting
anyway,
me.
You took Ike Ekwonu. I think that is the correct move for the Jaguars. You're not guaranteed to get a deal worked out with Cam Robinson. You can't franchise tag him again on the 144%.
I did hear that they might have some movement on Cam Robinson.
Oh,
there was a report about that it may happen.
And Baalke mentioned that he thinks they're in a good spot with it, so maybe it will happen. But
still, I would still take Ike.
I would too, and that's what you did in this mock draft. And again, like let's just for transparency purposes, your final mock draft, because I was just talking to our buddy Adam Gold. He brought you up. He said Ryan Wilson doesn't believe you. He ripped you on radio here locally.
About that.
About what?
Tar Heels.
I'm just kidding. And I said, I'm pretty sure Wilson will have Trayvon Walker going 1 in his final mock.
I think that's where we're leaning.
Yeah. Just because you can't, you want to be accurate.
Imagine if your professional life hangs in the balance and you have to trust Will Brinson. That's where
imagine being Will Brinson and having to trust Will Brinson with your professional life hanging in the balance.
You don't
as well as your financial stability hanging in the balance. Traps and Josh, will you be going in a different direction than Trayvon Walker in your final mock drafts?
Before they answer, I want to say quickly, this feels like Mac Jones at 3 last year, though. That didn't happen.
Oh, nah.
Yeah.
Hutch feels like Mac Jones. Now we've got Trey Landscape. Now the correct thing has happened. The market correction has occurred the week of the draft.
Yeah,
which is exactly what happened with Mac and Trey Lance last year.
I don't think it did.
And it corrected because of your investigative reporting, finding that blog from 2014 that probably no one else was checking into. So hats off to you for doing that research.
That's right. No one else was Googling Trent Baalke long arms.
Is that what you were Googling?
I love long. Josh or Traps, you said no. Josh, are you going to have Trayvon 1 in your final mock?
Yeah, I think so, unless we hear something else between now and Thursday morning.
Yeah. And I don't think that. So the not to linger too long on this one, but I do think if we can lock it down, that's important. I think that if Shad Khan steps in and forces a pick, it would be Ike or Evan Neal and not Aiden Hutchinson, because according to everything that we've heard, Doug Peterson would prefer Ike. Trent Baalke wants Trayvon Walker. So if you come in and you force Aiden Hutchinson, you are undermining both your GM and your head coach. And
yeah, no one's happy.
You can't do that. You can undermine one of them.
Did you mention just now that Shad wants Aiden?
What's that?
Did you mention that Shad wants Aiden?
I mean, I think that's been reported that they like.
Yeah, Tony
and the defensive
Pauline
staff
actually.
likes Aiden.
Tony Pauline reported that. He said that Trent wants your dude, and then that Shad wants. But I think to your point is a right one.
I'm not going to talk about the scoreboards for any draft rumor people, but anywho,
what does that mean?
nothing. Number 2, Traps, you're on the clock with the Detroit Lions. The only player taken off in this mock draft is Ike Ekwonu. Who are you taking with the second overall pick in the 2022 Pick 6 podcast mock draft?
I'm going to pick Aiden Hutchinson. That's what I think will happen and what I think they should do. Gigantic need at the edge rusher spot. It's a local kid. I feel like we would see similar videos to last year with Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, like celebrating when Penei Sewell fell to them. For the longest time, like we've been talking about, it was Aiden Hutchinson at 1. It was getting close to feeling like being locked in. And now this last couple of days, not even weeks, days of this momentum for Travon Walker, I think the Lions, it would fit the value and the need for this team to pick Aiden Hutchinson at 2 overall.
I think this is I'm probably getting ahead of my over my skis on this on feeling like I know what's happening in this draft.
Hey, there's one thing that you do: overpromise, underdeliver. So carry on.
Yeah, baby. That is the Brinson. That is on the Brinson family crest. Overpromise, underdeliver, and it's like a leaky oil can. I think that the Lions are going to take Kayvon Thibodeau at number 2 after the Jaguars take Trayvon Walker at number 1.
Why do you think they're taking Thibodeau?
I think Narrative Street has driven this too far to the point that it's like, I don't think it matters that Aiden Hutchinson's from Michigan. Like, who cares?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
You selling extra tickets to the Lions games because you drafted somebody from Michigan? Hell no. I think that narrative is tired. I also think that the narrative about Kayvon Thibodeau being all about him and all about his brand is the stupidest thing on the planet. And
watch out for that irony piano that's about to hit you in the head.
Brad Holmes.
I think Hutch is better.
Sure. I'm not knocking your pick. And I heard Daniel Jeremiah say on Sunday night during a mock draft live that Aiden Hutchinson is his best player in the draft.
Oh, wait. You had time to watch NFL Network while you were celebrating your wife's birthday, but not respond to emails about this mock? I got it. Okay.
Yeah. It was Sunday night. We're wrapping it up.
You just got home from church. I got it.
Yeah. That's just my gut feeling that they go Thibs at 2.
Okay.
They have sort of an inside intel on it with Penei Sewell, his former teammate.
Yeah.
Brad Holmes has kind of been hawking Thibodeau for like 2 years now. And that's just my gut feeling that they do that too. So if you can still bet it, there's probably some decent value.
Plus money, right?
Yeah. Trayvon Walker. Well, I was thinking like an exacta. Trayvon Walker, Kayvon Thibodeau 1 and 2. You can probably get plus money on Trayvon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson 1 and 2. Just a thought. But I mean, look, they're going to go edge rusher. It would be a shock if they win anything else, right?
Yeah. Corner, but probably not after Okudah. It's probably going to be an edge rusher.
All right, let's see. Walker, then Thibodeau, plus 250.
16-1 last night.
Walker, Hutch, plus 150.
I would probably bet both of those instead of betting Trayvon Walker minus 150 to go first overall.
Now, this one might be of interest to Traps. Walker, then Malik, plus 1,200.
Ooh.
12-1 to go Willis 2. They're not taking Willis 2 overall.
Yeah, but Traps likes him. That's what I'm saying.
I do.
Sure.
I wouldn't hate
Who
that.
doesn't like Malik Willis?
Yeah, there's some people.
One of our colleagues.
Pete Briscoe doesn't like him, and he's getting dragged for it. He got BSO'd. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah. The last time someone got BSO'd,
I don't recall any previous BSOing of
and you fought
CBS
back.
Sports employees.
I love it. You got mad at him.
I think I blocked him. All right, Josh, you're on the clock with the Houston Texans at number 3. This is, to me, a fascinating turning point. Whether it's we think, I mean, again, we have Icky 1, Aiden Hutchinson 2 here. In the real draft, it is likely going to be Walker and then a pass rusher. And then it's real fascinating what the Texans do. What will you do for the Houston Texans?
Yeah, so Wilson kind of derailed my plans a little bit because I was leaning towards Ekwonu here, expecting that he would be available. Instead, I am going with Cincinnati cornerback Ahmad Sauce Gardner. at number 3 overall because Houston has been chasing a difference maker at the cornerback position for so long. Gardner is my top overall prospect right now. It's just an easy fit. Check the box, get a difference maker on that side of the ball. That's really what the objective is just get difference makers onto this roster because they are sorely lacking in that regard.
I don't have a problem with it. For a long time, it's been stated that we had 3 cornerbacks go in the top 5 for 30 something years. And in the last 6 years, we've had 3 cornerbacks go in the top 5 or top 6. So taking a cornerback is a premium position, and teams are less afraid to take a cornerback high in the draft. I also think in this particular draft, where there is a lack of truly, truly elite talent, you would be well served as a franchise to say, screw it. I don't care about positional value. I'm going to take a player I know will be good, and Sauce Gardner absolutely qualifies.
Denzel Ward, the number 4 overall selection in the 2018 NFL draft, just got his contract extension. So
he got a contract before Baker.
He certainly did. Yes, he did.
I don't think Josh wants you to go there, but true.
He's got the moral quandary that is
the only thing I had. I love Sauce Gardner here, and I get it, Lovie Smith. I just wonder if Caserio and even Lovie Smith would think about trying to protect Davis Mills. I want to call him Davis Love, which is so funny.
So the thing about the offensive line with the Texans is they have Laramie Tunsil at left tackle. I mean, I know I've heard Lane Zierlein, who's plugged in with the Texans, talk about how they may move on from him. They have Titus Howard at the right tackle. I would think they would want to get someone if they were going to draft an offensive lineman.
They don't like Titus Howard, though.
You don't think so?
No.
He would have been like a second or third round pick. Yeah.
Lance has said that too.
Okay.
Did you see Tunsil's contract? It's like a $35 million cap hit next year. So I mean,
thank you, Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, but they can save $17 or $18 million in cap space, and then he only has 2 years left on it. So I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a big cap hit. Yeah. I have bets on both Stingley and Sauce Gardner to go 3rd overall. I think it's a very real possibility that they draft a cornerback there, even though it doesn't fit what we would expect from a Bill Belichick disciple. At number 4, I have the Jets pick. I will sprint to the podium and gleefully take Kayvon Thibodeau, if you will. I will. So if you is it Tibbs or Thibs?
It's up to you. You call him pretty much what you want to anyway.
But you said he's fine with both.
That's what I'm saying.
If I tell you I'm fine with Branson and Brinson, you're going to flip flop too.
I'm just going to call you Benson.
Exactly. I think the Jets would love to come out of here with a wide receiver and a pass rusher.
Any thought about I like this pick too, a lot. Any thought about taking your favorite wide receiver here because he might not be there at 10?
Jamo
if you want. Garrett Will if you want.
If the first 3 picks in this draft were pass rushers, I might
Drake Lowe if you want.
I might take Jamo 4th.
I like Jamo
because one of the 3 pass rushers was there. And I think Trayvon Walker could potentially be in play as well, but Thibodeau is the pick at 4. Wilson, you're on the clock at 5 with the Giants.
I'm taking Derek Stingley, much to my surprise as I look over the draft pick. I like Stingley. I think his pre-draft arc has been very similar to that of his former teammate Jamar Chase. Everyone forgot about him because he only played 3 games last year. Then he blew up his pro day, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, he's still really good." If you get 2019 Derek Stingley, he's a top 5 pick. If you get 2021 Derek Stingley, he's not. The Giants have a ton of needs. They could have gone. They take this without. They make this pick without even getting one of the 2.
Well, let me ask you this: so if you're Joe Shane and the Giants, you have 5 and 7, and the only team in between you is the Carolina Panthers at 6, who we believe are pretty likely to take an offensive lineman. Do you say it's a weird game of chicken with 5 and 7 because the Panthers want to trade out, but we don't know if they'll be able to trade out. So are you okay saying I'll just take whatever's left between Charles Cross and Evan Neal?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why in a few picks. But right, so we passed on the 2 offensive tackles remaining because Icky's already gone. Got the cornerback who has a chance to be a really good player, also has returnability, and we'll leave it to the Panthers to draft Will Greer again, even though they already drafted him.
Well, I will tell you something. You made the smart move, Ryan Shane, because as Scott Fitterer, the Panthers GM, picking at number 6. I was about to orchestrate a deal with the Seattle Seahawks to move up from number 9 to number 6 to take Derek Stingley. And you would have been SOL, expecting that cornerback to be sitting there at 7. Instead, you took Stingley. Now I can't get a deal done because Stingley's off the board. I will tell you this. You can bet on Derek Stingley and JMO to go 6 overall at 50-1. I think those are the two trade-up targets for teams that will try and jump up into the Panther spot, whether it's the Falcons leapfrogging, and that's the interdivisional. Maybe that's not likely. I think the Seahawks are very likely to come up. I think the Jets could potentially come up to 6 as well. Don't think Washington will do it. Maybe the Vikings. 50-1 on both those guys to go 6 overall. You're banking on a trade, but that is a big-time payout at fairly low risk. However, since Wilson sniped me with Stingley, and I wasn't even answering emails, much less orchestrating deals this weekend, I will simply stand pat at number 6 and take Evan Neal as the Carolina Panthers and jump with joy. Sure, we'd like more draft picks. Sure, we'd like to trade out. We are thrilled to get one of the top 2 tackles at a obvious position of need. And there was never a thought of taking a quarterback. We actually, I listened to Joe Person on Josh Norris's mock draft they did for the top 10, and Joe made a great point.
When'd you listen to it?
On Monday morning.
Okay, just checking.
Joe noted that at all these pro days that the Panthers went to, they were purposely stationing themselves in view of the camera. They were standing behind the quarterback prospects. They had McAdoo go up to wasn't Kenny Pickett. Maybe they didn't go to Desmond Ritter's pro day, but they went to all these quarterback pro days, and they had they were having the OC. And Joe pointed out, they were like, oh, we're sending 8 guys to so Kenny Pickett's pro day. It was actually only 4 or 5. They made a big stink out of all this quarterback talk, and then McAdoo comes out and is like, oh yeah, Sam's our starter. They're not taking a quarterback at 6. I've flip-flopped on that completely. They are going off. They're trying to trade down if they can. If not, they will stand pat and take one of the 3 offensive linemen. And in this case, we get Evan Neal Wilson. That puts you on the clock at 7 with the Giants.
I'm taking Charles Cross. It's a layup. Jason Lockham-Ford wrote about this on Monday morning. He said the Giants love Charles Cross and they have for some time, and other people have been reporting that as well. So I'm not going to overthink it. Get some help for Daniel Jones. You got Derek Stingley to help in the secondary. You're not necessarily cooking with gas, but you're moving in the right direction.
Again, I think if you come out of here with a Derek Stingley and Charles Cross, who you worked out as a right tackle, you're doing pretty well. Any thoughts on the Giants pairing there, Josh or Traps?
I'll say that with the Giants, that there's been that report that they're going to probably try to move on from James Bradbury either during the draft or after the draft because they currently don't have enough money to sign
Jordan Renan said there's a 0% chance he's on the roster by the start of the season.
Yeah, so Stingley makes sense being a little bit more of a earlier pick at 5 as opposed to 7. That might be more of an immediate need than what it looks like right now with James Bradbury on the roster. So I like those 2 picks. They need corner. And regardless of if it's Daniel Jones long-term or it's a 2023 rookie, the offensive line, because of Dave Gettleman's disaster that he had there, it still needs a lot of work.
Yeah, I think you're filling 2 positions of need here with obviously Stingley coming in and replacing James Bradbury. And then I think when you talk to most Giants fans, they would be disappointed if you did not come away with an offensive lineman here in the top 10. So you kind of check both boxes. I know it would be disappointing not to get an edge rusher, but you've only got so many picks in the top 10, and I think they've chalked off a couple of big ones here.
I agree completely. Okay, who will the Falcons take at number 8? Josh Edwards makes the pick. We will let you know coming up after the break. Next,
look, we want to make a movie. Paramount is going to come crashing down. We need hits.
I got no cast.
No Pacino.
Brando.
He's a nutcase.
Can one thing go right with this picture? This movie makes my people look like animals, and that ain't gonna happen.
I'm not running.
You didn't see it if you were listening to the podcast because it was a YouTube only commercial. But man, the offer, a new limited series on Paramount Plus, like it looks like the making of The Godfather. I color me intrigued. I'm in on that. Just like I'm in on whoever Josh takes at 8 with the Falcons. You're on the clock. Who you got?
So I know the run on the wide receiver position is about to begin, and I want to take the first crack at it. I am taking Ohio State wide receiver Garrett Wilson here at number 8 overall. He's still my top-rated healthy wide receiver. If Jameson Williams were totally back from his injury, maybe he would he would probably be the pick here if we were being totally honest. But as currently constructed, Wilson is the choice for me here, just because I value his body control down the field and what he's capable of doing after the catch. Jameson Williams, they posted a workout video recently. He looks like he's ahead of schedule. I'm sure that was done out of coordination of trying to get some buzz building before the draft. But here in this scenario, I'm taking Wilson.
I think there's a case to be made that the Falcons are like a kind of a perfect team for Williams, just for whatever it's worth. Like,
yeah.
You know, if let's say Ridley comes back in 2023, like you're not playing to win the Super Bowl in 2022,
right?
You know, like, and so if you get a guy coming off the ACL, maybe it fits. You get, and like all of a sudden, if you had, let's say you get Bryce Young and Jameson Williams and Calvin Ridley comes back from suspension and you have Kyle Pitts, like, hello, that's kind of an offense that's cooking with gas all of a sudden in 2023. Now,
hello, your offense still is terrible. They're going to be bad.
For multiple years.
I did not consider a quarterback here. I know that's part of the discussion as well, but if I didn't take a quarterback last year, I doubt I'm going to find any to my liking this year.
I have a galaxy brain sort of pick that I think could happen at 8.
What is?
I want to know what you guys think about this. Jordan Davis.
Oh boy. I would not like that, but I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's
what
crazy.
Does it solve? What does it
doesn't
solve?
solve a lot, but the defense
there's nothing to solve. You don't have anyone on the roster. You have 3 good players.
So you get a guy that's actually worth 3 players. That actually makes some sense.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 3 humans. You can play. Yeah, you have Kyle Pitts, you have AJ Terrell, and you have Grady Jarrett. And I would guess that Grady Jarrett is not long for this roster because he's going to need a new contract. And he's already 28. This is not a roster that's best served to sign minuscule defensive tackles to extensions at the age of 29 or 30. Jordan Davis is a freak athlete. I don't know, man. I just had a galaxy brain on Monday morning because I wasn't thinking about the draft on Sunday night.
No, of course not. I mean, anything is possible. Like nothing. I mean, what
do you think his odds are to go 8th overall? I was surprised.
I was going to say, you should bet that. You should look to see what the odds
What do you think they are? I know what they are.
Plus 1,000?
Oh, it's actually 14-1. I kind of thought it'd be 60-1.
No, I think everything is up for grabs. Like this is such a free for all. You have no idea.
Like no one is talking about the idea that Jordan Davis could go 8th overall to the Falcons, and he's 14-1.
Not bad.
Oh man, that's kind of weird. Traps, you were on the clock with the Seattle Seahawks at number 9. I think you're going to make a pick that you don't even like here.
Yeah. So full disclosure, I was thinking that this was more like what would happen, not what I would do, because I'm picking. It can be a mix. It can be a mix. I'm picking Trevon Walker, the edge rusher, or for Pete Prisco, 5 technique defensive lineman from Georgia. Yeah, I think that another team similar to Trent Baalke there in Jacksonville, the Seahawks for a long time have loved like the freaky specimens with arm length. They were kind of ahead of the curve with analytics and 3-cone drill and spark score and all that stuff. So I feel like if Pete Carroll did see Trevon Walker sitting there, which is kind of pointless to talk about because it's not going to happen, but I think he would be really intrigued to pick an edge rusher because that's a defense that I think, similar to the Falcons, it has a lot of needs and not very many good players on it. So I would think about Malik Willis myself. I would pick Malik Willis. I did a mock draft with Ryan and Pete last week, and that's what I did. But here, just what would happen, I would say Trevon Walker. It would feel like if for some reason he doesn't go number 1 overall, that he wouldn't fall to the 10th pick in this first round.
I would be pretty. I mean, Trevon Walker going 9 is I'm moving to Mexico under the cloak of darkness.
Do you promise?
What's that?
Do you promise?
Oh, I promise. I am.
Like on Monday, I did a 2-round what I would do, and I had Trevon Walker going 7, and I actually could have had him going lower than that, sort of on the same lines as what most folks have been saying, other than Trent Baalke. That I don't know, it just seems like a stretch. Maybe he's going to be Reggie White. I just didn't see that at Georgia because he wasn't given that opportunity. So I get it.
Yeah, I mean it's a projection.
It's an art, not a science.
That's right. I'm on the clock at 10 with the New York Jets. I guess
you took Thibodeau at 4.
Yeah. I think the Jets want to come away with. I'm very curious to see what Daniel Jeremiah does with his mock draft. He is notoriously close with Joe Douglas. Connor Hughes, who writes for The Athletic, I believe, has been adamant that the Jets will not take a cornerback with 4 or 10. So that's why I'm curious what DJ does. If he gives him a cornerback at 4, then I think I'm less locked in on edge and wide receiver, which I think is what their move would be. I would not be surprised at all if they traded up to 6 with the Panthers.
But hold on. Keep this in mind, though, in terms of your argument. They have picks 35 and 38 as well. And there could be a Kyrie Elam there. I mean, they may like him more than other teams.
Are the Panthers moving from 6 to 10 for one of those 2 picks, by the way? In a heartbeat?
For what?
35 or 38. Either one. Who cares? Like the Panthers don't have a second or third round pick.
Those picks. I didn't know what you meant.
Just one of those, not 2 of those.
Yeah.
Like, because if you're the Panthers, the difference between 6 and 10 is fairly negligible.
Right, in terms of what they want, and they get a day 2 pick. Yeah, no, I think so.
And if you're the Jets and you feel like the Falcons and the
if
Seahawks,
I'm the Jets, though, I don't want to give up that second round pick because you're going to get a starter out of there.
No, I agree. I don't think you want to give it up, but I think if you want to go get the wide receiver that you want, that's why I like the JMO 6th overall pick. I'll take Drake London here. I think there's a good chance he's the first wide receiver taken. I know he's the second wide receiver taken in this mock, but I don't think
what does Vegas say?
He's like plus 125 maybe to be the first overall pick.
Interesting.
Or excuse me, to be the first wide receiver taken.
For the record, Daniel Jeremiah in his last mock in 2020 did have the Jets picking Mekhi Becton when that was that draft class with Tristan Wirfs and Andrew Thomas, and no one was quite sure like how that top upper echelon of the offensive tackle group would kind of shake out. He was kind of connected there and had Becton go into the Jets. So
correct. Who did the Jets
remember?
Who did the Jets take last year?
Zach Wilson, and then
there was no mystery behind it. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, and then Vera Tucker, no one really had because that was a trade up, I believe.
But they were definitely connected with him. I feel like the Jets, whatever the Jets are going to do, has gotten out there the week of the draft, kind of.
Okay.
Or like has been made known.
Yep.
So just sort of keep an eye on that as you're, for betting purposes and whatnot. All right, moving on to I would have been fine with JMO here at 10 as well. Wilson, you're on the clock with the Washington Commanders.
So I'm looking really quick.
A little too closely connected to wide receiver, it feels like.
So here's the thing. I'm looking quickly at the Jets' 30 visits, and they did have private workouts for both Sauce and Stingley. Perhaps smoke screens, perhaps kicking the tires, yada, yada, yada. Just want to throw that out there.
Worth noting, and this is via friend of the show, Josh Norris, who is probably the only person that has been better at identifying who the Carolina Panthers would take under Marty Honey and Ron Rivera than yours truly. People making personnel decisions in Washington have displayed their process for years and years in the NFL. Ron Rivera and Marty Honey. During their time together in Carolina, Ron Rivera only attended 3 non-North Carolina pro days. 2011, Auburn, Cam Newton. 2011, LSU, Patrick Peterson. And 2017, Stanford, Christian McCaffrey.
Wait, Patrick Peterson? He was on staff with...
Peterson was same draft as Cam. They were looking at Peterson first overall versus Cam.
I was confused. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So Cam, Pat Pete, and who's the last one?
Christian McCaffrey. They drafted 2 of them and considered taking Pat. Pat Pete was definitely in consideration first overall.
Okay.
They liked him that much. They also went and visited Marty Honey and Ron Rivera did this year the Ohio State wide receivers on March 23rd.
Hey-o.
So, Wilson, you're on the clock.
Well, Garrett Wilson's gone. I wouldn't take Chris Olave this side. That doesn't mean they won't. He feels more like Terry McLaurin than Garrett Wilson does.
And I've heard, too, that they are optimistic about Curtis Samuel having a bounce back here in 2020.
Good Lord. I hope he wouldn't have a worse season than he had last year. Plus, they drafted De'Ami Brown last year on day 2, so I'm sure they're hoping that he can look more like he did at UNC than he did last year for reasons that were probably mostly out of his control with the quarterback situation. All that said, and with Jamo, I like Jamo better than Jamo. Jamo still on the board, Jameson Williams. I'm taking Kyle Hamilton. Did they go to Notre Dame Pro Day? I hope not, because they would have seen him run that 4.7. So I'm taking Kyle Hamilton here. Jameson Williams is an obvious, I wouldn't call it a layup, but Kyle Hamilton helps the back end of that defense. That defense wasn't nearly as good last year as we thought they were going to be. Chase Young towards ACL. He'll be back at some point during the season. Hopefully he looks more like we saw at Ohio State. There's your Ohio State connection, by the way, than he did so far as an NFL player. But I'm going to take Kyle Hamilton, who I think has really good tape. Had a terrible pre-draft process and it's going to drop because of it. And Washington gets a really good football player at 11.
What do you guys think about Kyle Hamilton? Josh, what do you think about Kyle here at 11?
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, he is one of the top prospects in this class. You've already got a strong defense. You took a step back last year. Add another piece to it where Ron Rivera can trust that player on the field to not only be in the right place at the right time, but be able to communicate the defense to everybody else on the field. I think he would be drawn to, more of a field commander like a Kyle Hamilton. So it makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's arguably some people have him as a top 3 prospect in this class.
I know he's Trapp's number 1 still, I believe. And I think DJ had him 1 for a while. He may have him top 4 now. He's pretty high.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting
DJ has him 5.
I think this is his floor. Maybe not his floor. He could fall further. I think they will stop the fall if he drifts down to 11. You're talking about a defensive-minded head coach.
Stop the
Stop the count.
So, by the way, a little preview here of my final mock draft. This is written in pencil, but it's feeling like this might be the case. I have Debo. Pay attention. Kyle Hamilton going 15 to the Eagles.
Whoa.
That would be the lowest I've seen him, but I don't think it's crazy.
Debo, do you want Kyle Hamilton?
Debo liked him a couple months ago.
Debo's doing some other podcast right now, apparently.
He's texting his girlfriend.
He's really checked out these days. It's sad. 12. Traps, you're on the clock with the Vikings. Man, they had been connected to Derek Stingley was such a layup for like 3 or 4 weeks of mock drafting.
Yeah.
He gone.
Now, nuts.
I would say this before I make this pick. This top 11 for the Vikings almost feels like a worst case scenario because the edge rushers are gone, the 2 corners are gone, and it feels like they probably won't go wide receiver. But I'm having said that, I have them picking Jameson Williams from Alabama. I think to just continue to prop up Kirk Cousins, that they have a superstar in Justin Jefferson. Adam Thielen's getting up there in age. It just feels like a pick that could help him be a right around 500 quarterback like he pretty much is every season. And then into the future, the new regime with Kevin O'Connell looking into 2023 to whoever the quarterback would be post Kirk Cousins, to have Justin Jefferson in his early to mid 20s and then Jameson Williams. I think that would be just a dynamic 1-2 punch at the wide receiver spot. They probably would have liked a cornerback. That seems like a bigger need, even though they did re-sign Patrick Peterson. He was kind of petitioning for Derek Stingley to be the pick there. But in this case, to see some receivers go off the board, but Jameson Williams still be there, it was pretty easy pick.
All right. Yeah, look, man, I love J-Mo. I think he's the best wide receiver in this class. I've heard some people say that maybe he's not a true number 1.
Who said that?
But he would pair really nicely with Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
I think Dino Jeremiah said it.
Well, he's the number 1.
Okay. I was surprised by that. 13, Josh, you were on the clock with the Houston Texans. Their second pick. You were sitting on Sauce Gardner. What you going with here?
Yeah, it's not the most impactful position, but I just can't envision Jordan Davis being available much longer when you consider his size and speed combination.
You might go 8, Josh. So this is a great pick.
Honestly, I don't think it's that far-fetched to think that he actually could go at number 8. I mean, Atlanta has so many directions that they could go. Obviously, that would entail them moving on from Grady Jarrett. But I think this is a natural landing spot for Jordan Davis. I had toyed with the idea of taking Trayvon Walker at number 3 overall, get a little bit of a Richard Seymour, Vince Wilfork type action here with former Patriot Nick Caserio in Houston, but Sauce Gardner is just a higher rated prospect for me. I think he can be a lockdown cornerback in the NFL. So excited about that pick. And then we swing back around and upgrade our run defense. It's not sexy, but when you can start checking off some of the weaknesses on your roster, you start feeling a little bit more comfortable about where you are in your rebuild.
I think coming away with Sauce Gardner and Jordan Davis is a really nice haul for the Texans. And this team is a long way from being competitive.
They played really hard last year for what's his name they fired.
The last guy, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look, they're going to play Tampa too. It's not a good football team, but if Davis Mills turns out to be the guy, and you add 2 blue chip defensive players in this draft,
their division isn't very good.
You can start to sort of squint your eyes and see a competitive roster coming together with this draft and another good draft.
Yeah, they play in a bad division.
At 14, actually, I'm furious.
Why?
As Eric DaCosta, because I wanted my next Haloti Nada and Jordan Davis.
I think they'd rather have the pick you're making.
The only thing I have here is if you truly want to evaluate Davis Mills, then ideally you would add at least 1 offensive piece, maybe even 2 here. So that's what I'm a little disappointed by with these 2 picks. I walk away with 2 great defensive players, but am I going to be able to effectively evaluate Davis Mills this upcoming season and be in a position where I actually feel confident about which direction they may go in 2023 at the quarterback position? That's the only thing that I kind of struggle with in terms of making Houston's picks.
So I'm going to go Jermaine Johnson at 14 with the Baltimore Ravens as Eric DaCosta here. Let me ask you this. So I have a couple units on Jermaine Johnson under 9.5. It is currently 9.5, basically same price on both sides. Should I get out of a couple of those?
Here's the thing. There's been a lot of media rumblings that he's going to go higher than we expect. I just don't know where he fits in. Maybe the Seahawks take him at 9. I don't know if maybe the Jets take him at 10, assuming they don't get Thibodeau.
If
Falcons.
Even if he goes at 10, that's over 9.5.
Yes, it is. Is it possible that is it possible that if the draft starts Walker, Hutch, Tibbs, that then Jermaine Johnson is near lock to go under?
Yeah,
not a lock, but it's you feel better about it.
Like one of the Giants, right? Like one of the Giants, Falcons, Seahawks, or Jets is taking him, right? The Jets aren't taking him at 4, are they?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you have 3 offensive linemen. You have Sauce Gardner. You have the wide receivers there, although the one should be there 10 if there's not one. If one doesn't go off the board with all the other guys still left there. It's close.
Yeah, I might sell off
He might go under. I'm just trying to figure out the landing spot.
I don't feel like having a bunch of my potential draft earnings destroyed because he goes 10 to the Jets.
And I don't know I don't know if a team's trading up for him. That's the other thing.
Yeah, I don't know that either.
But I don't know if he's going to be there at 14. So
he could be. He could go at 6. That's not crazy. Like somebody trades to 6 with the Panthers.
Yeah, Fitter said that, but as we've talked about before,
I don't think the Panthers would take him. I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Joe Person said that he hears they're probably working on something to get Brian Burns paid. I said Brandon Brooks. Okay, Edward, Josh, you're on the clock at 15 with the Eagles.
I am not too ecstatic about how the board fell here. I would have preferred taking, maybe even a Jordan Davis or Jameson Williams here, but those players were not available. So I took Trent McDuffie.
His last 3 picks were a dagger for the Eagles, is what it was.
They really were. So I took Trent McDuffie, the cornerback from Washington. I'm not as high on him as a lot of people, but when you talk about a zone coverage cornerback and his fit in that Philadelphia defense, it makes a lot of sense. And you have a really competent player opposite of Darius Slay. If you ever feel like he's overpriced, then you can move on from Darius Slay and have somebody ready-made to step into a larger role. So I just think it makes a lot of sense for them to turn a position of question mark into a strength for this team.
I dig it. Okay, at number 16, Traps, you were on the clock with you are what's his name?
Mickey Loomis.
Nah, Mickey Loomis ain't really making the pick.
Scott Ireland.
Jeff Ireland.
Jeff Ireland.
Jeff Ireland.
I was just
Jeff
like,
Ireland.
the Des Hooker guy.
I called him Scott Ireland. Who's that?
I don't know
think
who
that's
that
first.
is.
Kathy Ireland.
Kathy. Traps, you're on the clock with Mickey Loomis at 6. He's too busy worried about the Pelicans trying to advance in the playoffs.
True,
Even up
true.
the Suns last night. They might be playing. They might be playing again. They definitely gonna be playing when this draft is happening. Mickey ain't worried about the draft. He's letting Jeff take everything. He's worried about this basketball team he's running.
All right.
You
I don't think Jeff Ireland would do this, but me as Jeff Ireland, I'm picking Malik Willis. The fact that he's still there, I'm ecstatic. To make that trade with the Eagles, I would be much more of an advocate to trade up in the first round to pick a quarterback as opposed to even a left tackle, which I know is really important. Any other position I think is not really worth it. Maybe wide receiver in some draft classes, maybe corner, but with how the board fell, to not have to move up again, and there's certainly been chatter that the Saints could do that. They could move up into the top 10 to pick a quarterback or maybe one of those top 3 left tackles. Instead, they just stay put. They don't mortgage the future anymore. They get Malik Willis. Yes, they have Jameis Winston, and he did play well last year before his injury. But to get Malik Willis and be in a redshirt situation, I think would be ideal for him. I've been of the belief, more so than other people, that the Saints are closer to rebuilding than they should be thinking about trying to win multiple playoff games. I think the roster is a little bit older and certainly needs some work. So I'm going Malik Willis at 16.
certainly would be the splash. This is what we thought the Saints were doing when they traded. God, I was never been so disappointed in my life than when the Saints the Saints are moving up in 2018. It's like, oh my God, they're coming to get Lamar. Sean Payton is going to unleash hell on earth on the NFL. It's like Marcus Davenport. It's like, what?
Exactly. Don't do it for that. Exactly.
I mean, I like Malik Willis. I think the Saints would probably wait till their next pick, but we'll see. Wilson, you're on the clock with the Chargers at 17.
Yeah, I consider Devontae Wyatt here. Again, Jordan Davis would have been the walk-up pick, but he's since long gone, and he would have been gone to the Eagles had he not gone. To your Falcons at 8. He went to the Texans at 13. So I'm going to go with a pretty boring pick in Kenyon Green, the guard from Texas A&M, pencils in right away, protects your quarterback, blah, blah, blah. Really good football player. And I think that's the direction you want to go if you're, trying to be successful in a division that's going to average 40 points a game with those quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Man, how many linemen are we getting? 11 linemen in the first round?
I don't think so. I think the over-under is 7.
Oh, is it?
I think it is. And I think I counted let me double check. I had it written down here somewhere.
I got 7.5, over 7.5 plus 155. Under 7.5 is minus 200.
So here are the names. So 7.5, right? Exactly. So here are the names.
Is the SEC number, I think. Sorry, carry on.
So Icky, Evan, Charles Cross, Trevor Penning. I think those 4 are locks.
Locks, yeah.
Zion Johnson feels like a lock as well. And then you have, and that's what, 5?
Yep.
So then you have from
Green.
these 4, Green, Linderbaum, Raymond, and Tyler Smith.
I think Tyler Smith. Prisco said he thinks Tyler Smith is a lock first round.
I've heard some things that he may not be.
Okay.
And wasn't there the McShay report that Linderbaum's going to fall out of the first? I don't know if that was given to him as a smokescreen, but I read that yesterday morning.
I think he even said this maybe. He's like, this. People are lying. He's like, it's lying season.
People are trying to push up Cam Jurgens from Nebraska.
People are trying to push down Linderbaum. I think Linderbaum goes first. I think somebody's taking him first. He's like a really good prospect. It's just be like, oh, well, nobody needs a center. It's like, oh, okay.
So anyway, so you have Iquanu, Evan, Cross, Penning, Zion. That's 5. Linderbaum 6, and then you have to get Kenyon Green, Tyler Smith, Bernard Raymond to get to 7, and then you need one more. Well, you need 2 of those guys to get to 8. 2 of the final 4 there to get to 8.
It's a lot.
Yeah, so I sort of like the under.
Yeah, under's minus 200, so certainly favored to go in that direction. Okay, Josh, you were back on the clock. God, there's just so many teams with 2 draft picks in this draft. It's ridiculous. You were back with the Eagles at 18.
Yeah, so I did the smart thing and outsourced blame for this pick. I actually went to the resident Eagles fan, Debo himself, to give me some advice on how this board played out. and who he would be considering here. I was afraid of getting thrown off Lincoln Financial Field if I had taken a linebacker. But as it turns out, Debo thinks that the linebacker position might be the direction that they choose to go here. So I'm taking Devin Lloyd from Utah, the first linebacker off the board here to the Eagles.
All right. You see, if you do a mock draft and the Eagles taking a linebacker, you typically get killed.
Don't you know anything about Howie Roseman?
A lot less pushback this year.
Yeah, there is a lot less pushback. It's because you get 2 picks. You really got to screw up the 2 picks like you did with the Jets a few weeks ago, Wilson, to get yelled at.
Mm-hmm.
Back on the clock, Traps with the Saints at number 19.
All right, this worked out perfectly for me as Jeff Ireland. I'm picking Trevor Penning, the offensive tackle from Northern Iowa. So we make the trade up with the Eagles. We get a quarterback of the future, and then we fill that left tackle hole vacated by Teron Armstead signing with the Miami Dolphins. Penning 6'6", 330, doesn't need to get a lot stronger. I think his athleticism at times can be stretched to the limit, and he obviously is coming from the FCS level. And to me, that Iowa State game to start the season was a little rough for him against Will McDonald, who's probably going to be a first or a second round pick next year. But at this point, to still have someone that most people view as a plug and play left tackle for the Saints, I think that would be a home run at 19.
Any thought just quickly on like going Penning at 16 and then
you could, I kind of thought about, the Eagles, although it feels like they're ready to give Jalen Hurts one more season.
I would be shocked if the Eagles took a quarterback in this draft.
I would be shocked, but I'm
round.
always of the belief that if you really like a quarterback, and in this case, like obviously the Saints could move up, but at 16, I think it sends a better message where if you pick the quarterback first, and if you really like Malik Willis and you're like, all right, we got Jameis, but we like Willis for 2023 and beyond, don't let him fall to potentially to 19 and have the Eagles say, holy crap, we didn't think Malik Willis would be here. We're going to pick him then. And then you miss out on the quarterback that you wanted all along.
That's fair. Wilson, you're on the clock at 20 with the Pittsburgh Steelers, having been snaked by Traps there with Malik Willis going, or maybe not snaked, depending on how you feel.
Yeah, I think if Malik's there, you probably take him. But it would be crazy if he's there in real life on Thursday. This has been.
I don't think that's that crazy.
I don't think it is either.
I don't think he's going top 10.
We'll see.
Wait, have you heard something that suggests otherwise?
No, not on Malik on top 10.
Okay.
But I mean, it's a crapshoot. Plus this time of year.
I mean, this is easily the most difficult to pin down draft that I have covered since I've done this.
Like Malik at 20, that makes some sense. I get it. But after that, like Kenny Pickett doesn't make sense at 20 for me.
No.
I don't know where the Steelers have brought in every single wide receiver quarterback for a 30 visit. So that doesn't mean anything. They've taken them all out to eat chicken wings. So that doesn't mean anything either. If you saw one there. Trevor Penning would have been interesting had he been there at 20. They don't need necessarily interior line help. Unless you're talking about center, in which case Zion Johnson and Tyler Linderbaum make some sense. I think Tyler Linderbaum's plenty big enough to play center, especially if this RPO type offense that we're talking about with Matt Canada, who knows what that's going to look like. All that said, Chris Olave still on the board. They need help with wide receiver, and I don't know if they like Olave better than Treylon Burks. I'm going Treylon Burks because he reminds me of Deebo Samuel. He reminds me of Juju Smith-Schuster, Anquan Bolden, a little bit of A.J. Brown, a little slower version of that. And I think James Washington's gone to Dallas. They lost Juju to Kansas City. They lost Ray McLeod. Not that he was number 5, but he also had some return ability. I'm bringing in Treylon Burks. I don't care about the 4.55, and I think he helps that offense, especially the way they want to work the boundaries with old Mitchell going to the Super Bowl. Trubisky as their quarterback now.
All right. You're the Steelers expert. I'll let you.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We will see.
Okay. Up next, me, the Patriots at 21. I tend to think the Pats are trading down if they can, and I think they will be easily able to, whether it's with the Packers or the Chiefs, because we still have who's the top wide receiver left on the board at this point?
Olave, Jahan Dotson.
Yeah, I guess the Packers are at 22. So the Chiefs, if the Chiefs like Chris Olave, and the Packers are coming up next, do the Patriots trade with?
I don't think Chiefs are trading. I think they want to keep these picks.
Maybe so.
Because I don't think they have a lot of picks, right?
I'll take Nakobe Dean. Nothing
sorry.
wrong with loading up on Georgia. Look, I mean,
they have a ton of picks. I just want to say that, but yeah, go ahead.
I've been saying this for weeks and months now that when all is said and done, we're going to look at this Georgia defense from 2021 in a similar vein that we looked at the LSU offense from 2019, where holy cow, there are a lot of professionals that came off of that defense, and maybe it's just the greatest defense in college football history. And the Patriots like to draft defense. They have no business drafting a wide receiver because they're terrible at it. I would love to get Mac Jones some help. I think you could look offensive line here as well. You could go like off the board, kooky and crazy Belichick style, but instead we're just going to stay here and take a really good defensive player, Nakobe Dean. Any issues with that?
No, I mean, Dante Hightower is sort of the prototypical linebacker of
Is that a fair comp for Dean?
No. My point is that I think they're getting smaller, faster at the position.
Yeah.
Kyle Duggar is probably
too.
Yeah, Kyle Duggar is like a great example of a guy who's sort of a tweener.
Nakobe Dean's like closer physically to Kyle Duggar than like a Hightower.
Yes.
Yeah, he's shorter, but he's that type of sideline to sideline guy.
Dean's like a poor man's Roquan Smith. Is that fair?
No, I don't think he's a poor man's. I think
he's just good. Yeah.
He's not as athletic, but he's a great player.
Roquan Smith had a ridiculous season last year, didn't he? I'm always wrong on Roquan. I was doing the podcast with somebody. I was like, Roquan's like had an okay season. They're like, he had a great season. What are you talking about?
Oh, so you're just repeating something you heard. You didn't even know. No one's
watching. And then I looked it up. And I was like, oh my god, he did have a great.
No
season.
one's watching the Bears.
Right. Yeah, he's had 2 good years.
No, I like Nakobe Dean here. I mean, they have not a ton of needs, but they could go any number of directions. And I like the idea of Dean, Kyle Duggar. You could even go, Dax Hill if he were still available.
Just versatile defensive players is what Bill Belichick comes.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right. Well, Wilson, you're on the clock with the Packers at 22.
I mean, they're taking Chris Olave. Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
I would almost rather have Traylon Burks here if I'm Matt LaFleur in this offense. He's certainly more physical than Chris Olave, but Chris Olave is obviously a playmaker.
Can Olave be a 1 in the NFL?
No, I think he's more of a 2.
Okay.
Just because he's not that strong. Like he needs to get stronger. If he gets stronger, sure, absolutely. And who the hell knows? I mean, no one thought Antonio Brown was going to be a 1. He was a 6th-round pick and ran in the 4.5s. So, yes, he can be, but I think of him more as a 2. Same with Traylon Burks, but I mean that's sort of a 2 that's going to get a lot of looks. And if you have either Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes winging the ball at you, that's a good thing. I think Olave makes that wide receiver room a lot better because as we currently sit here, they're missing some guy named Devontae Adams.
Indeed, they are. Okay. Next up, Traps on the clock with the Cardinals at 23.
I'm going with Penn State edge rusher Arnold Ebiketie. This is kind of one of those surprise late first-round picks that no one really even sees coming. I don't think we're going to get any like last-minute buzz for him, but he's a guy that I have a first-round grade on. He was really good at Temple before he transferred to the Nittany Lions, and I think he just checks all the boxes of what you want in a pass rusher. He tested well. The pass rush moves are there, burst, bend. He's like 6'2", 6'3", 250, so he's not huge, but the Cardinals, having lost Chandler Jones, don't necessarily feel like they're replacing him individually with Arnold Ebiketie, but they have to add more to that pass rush. They could go wide receiver here, but with Olave going right in front of them, they just say, hey, we need better pass rushers. Our front 7, especially on the defensive line, is not very good.
All right. I don't hate it at all. Up next is, I switch back to my rundown, Josh with the Cowboys at 24.
Yeah, so I will not take credit for this. I heard Jeff Kavanaugh say that Dallas historically picks players from the list of top 30 visits that they have pre-draft. So,
the only exception over the last 6 years, there's actually Blogging with the Boys broke this down, I believe. The only exception is 2020 when you just couldn't do the top 30 visits. Yeah. And they're pretty firm on this.
Yeah, so they value their top 30 visits and being able to meet these prospects in person. As I look at this list of the 30 prospects that they've brought in, there are only 3 realistic options that I would consider here, and that's Georgia linebacker Quay Walker, Central Michigan offensive tackle Bernard Ryman, and the third, which is my choice, Boston College interior offensive lineman Zion Johnson. As Dallas looks to build out this offensive line, a unit that has been under construction for a couple of years now, moving on from Lyle Collins most recently. I think it makes a lot of sense for them to add Johnson and make that unit a strength again, because when Dallas was at their best, it was because the offensive line was one of the stronger units in the NFL. And I think you get back to that with the selection of Johnson.
Yeah, they've quietly kind of, I mean, not like their offensive line is bad, but it's definitely sort of living on a reputation versus, when it was actually as dominant as we thought. Traps, you're up with the
a couple things to follow up on what Josh was saying, and this is a good point. So the 30 visits, Kenyon Green, he is already off the board. I had him going there. Logan Hall is interesting too, because they need help on the inside. They had him in for a visit. Houston guy. Cam Jurgens is the center from Nebraska, who's getting a lot of media buzz as we come down the home stretch here as a day 2 guy. No Linderbaum though, and Linderbaum has been someone that's I've mocked at them before in the past. And Devin Lloyd is also a 30 visit, and they do need help at up-wall linebacker, even though they drafted Micah Parsons last year. Micah Parsons is, he is a man without a position because he's that good. And of course, you mentioned Rymon there, so that is actually interesting to keep in mind with the Cowboys in particular.
That's check those 30 visits before you bet on somebody going to the Cowboys for sure. All right, next up, Traps. You got the Bills at 25. Are you going to give them the running back that everybody so desperately loves to in mock drafts?
No, I was going to intro that with this should not be a running back. I hope it's not a running back. Although I would get it for 2022, but long term, I think it would be a really bad allocation of a first round pick. I'm going to go with Andrew Booth, the cornerback from Clemson, who has seen his draft stock just plummet during the pre-draft process because he's been injured. He didn't get to work out at the combine or at the Clemson Pro Day. He's a former big-time recruit. The ball skills are there. I think he's better in zone than he is in man. And the Bills, since Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane got to Buffalo, and I don't know if this is just pure luck or they're doing something right, they've always been one of the healthier teams in the NFL. They had the Trey White ACL injury, but if you look back over the last 4 or 5 seasons, not a lot of devastating injuries. So if there is anything that needs to be worked out with Andrew Booth's knee, I think the Bills would be okay with that, because they need more athleticism and twitchiness, suddenness in their secondary, and they would certainly get that with Andrew Booth.
There you go. That would believe the last 2 picks would push the ACC players, the bet that we discussed, over with Booth and Johnson creeping in to the first round. I'm on the clock with the Titans, and I just don't think it would be that shocking for Tennessee just to take the best offensive lineman available, and that's Tyler Linderbaum. I don't think he's going to fall this far. I really don't. This guy, everybody keeps saying he's oh man, he's one of the best center prospects you'll ever, it's ever been, scouted. He's the comp is Jason Kelsey. He played at a really high level in terms of the, competition. Why is he falling? Just because he was
a wrestler in high school. He actually beat Tristan Wirfs once. Tristan Wirfs beat him one time. So he's got the wrestling background. I'm sort of with you. He could go 20. He could go to the Eagles with one of those picks.
Why would the Eagles? There's no way Jason Kelsey's playing more than 1 year. Why would the Eagles not just take the next Jason Kelsey?
Well, I mean, they might want a wide receiver. They might want a defensive tackle. They might want a linebacker.
Or if you're the Jaguars, trade up and get Thunderbaum.
I mean, they have picked 34, so they could get him 33. They could literally get him the first day.
I know, but I'm saying if you don't think he's going to make it out from 25 to 30, 32.
Well, I'll tell you something, and I can't believe you didn't figure this out, dum-dum. He has 20-inch arms, so they're not taking him.
Oh!
Really short arms.
Are they really 20 inches?
I hope so. I hope they are 20 inches.
That's incredible.
T-Rex. He's T-Rex.
Yeah. T-bomb.
You could have the Jets possibly look to trade up to get a Tyler Linderbaum as well, but
oh my God, he is in the. Wait, he has 31 and an 1/8 inch arms.
Well, that's why he's playing center.
Shorter than your guy Bradbury, yeah.
Don't. Traps.
Rookie of the year, Garrett Bradbury. That Garrett Bradbury.
He is in the first percentile in terms of arm length.
Is that good?
No. Now I would retroactively. But I will point out that I think there's a chance that if.
Are you pretending to be Jerry Jones right now? Just so we're clear. That's it. That's how you
No,
draft.
I think there's a chance if if Trip Baalke gets his way first overall and they go Trayvon Walker, which we think they will,
You're trying to talk yourself into this.
that maybe Doug Peterson will get thrown a bone.
Get out of here.
33.
Throw Doug Peterson a bone with Ike Kwanu Evan Neal at number 1, and then you can do whatever you want at 33. How about that?
I wouldn't disagree with that at all. Anyway, Titans like to run. Titans like offensive linemen. I'll take Linderbaum there. Josh Edwards. Josh, you're on the clock with the Bucks at 27.
I am giving them Michigan defensive back Daxton Hill, who is a player that can play safety. He can play slot cornerback. I think when you look at Tampa Bay right now, you lose Jordan Whitehead. You've got Mike Edwards there that could step in for him, but you've got Antoine Winfield. They've had so many injuries in the secondary over the past couple of years. I don't think you can go wrong by adding depth there. He can be the eventual safety if you want him to. And in the immediate, he can be that slot cornerback, slotting in there with Carlton Davis and Jamel Dean, and making plays out of the slot. So I think he's a very versatile defender. When you look at Tampa Bay and their Super Bowl aspirations, he's a guy that can step in right away and fill a need for them.
I dig it. At 28, Wilson, you are on the clock with the Packers, and we are going to finish this draft live. F it, we'll do it live.
Yeah. We got 6 minutes because I got a phone call for work after 2:30.
Oh.
So here we go. 22.
You're literally on a phone call for work, but sure.
This phone call is going to be going on for 90 minutes. The other phone call hopefully will take 5 minutes. Olave at 22. So, that was a no-brainer. Here the Packers would have loved to have gotten like an offensive tackle. That's an option. Though I don't think you want to reach for one here. Linebacker would also be an option. Nakobe Dean and Devin Lloyd are also gone. And Josh mentioned Quay Walker. That's an interesting one here, but instead I'm going to go with Devontae Wyatt. Interior defensive lineman. I don't think he has been drafted yet. Jordan Davis, the only defensive tackle that's gone. I think Devontae Wyatt next to Kenny Clark, it fills a need there. Although Quay Walker, I think I'm going to go back and think about that for my final mock draft. I'll give Quay here.
Okay. I've got 2 picks with the Chiefs, and I'm thinking that I want to try and come away with a 1 wide receiver and 1 defensive player. So the best wide receiver on the board is who? Christian Watson?
Christian Watson, or if you want Jahan.
Dotson, maybe.
Oh, Dotson. Yeah. I think we'll go. I think the Chiefs will only go 1 wide receiver with these 2 picks, personally.
No, I think that's right.
I think it would be surprising. I don't think it would be that. They're not picking again to like 50 in the second round or something like that. So I think they will definitely take 1 wide receiver if they like a guy here, and they've decided, and they end up not trading up. Dotson's fine with me, or Christian Watson, and then defensively.
They have a lot of needs. A lot of needs.
So I was sort of thinking Lewis Seen, David Ojabo. What do you guys think from a draft perspective of the Chiefs? Who would fit there?
I think Karlaftis, Lewis Seen would make sense. They need edge rusher. They need corner. Jalen Petrie would make sense to be that Tyrann Mathieu type. They could really go in a lot of directions.
Yeah,
if they go defense with one of those.
Boya Mafe, if you want another edge rush possibility. Yep. But Karlaftis is polarizing, but he could go 15 or he could go 40. So he could be available there. Boya Mafe too. Boy is a little older, but I think he's more explosive than.
Do you guys think they're more likely to go edge or safety? I mean, is going in the first round. By the way,
they signed. Well, we don't know that they signed Justin Reed.
Oh, true. They did. But corner and edge are big needs.
All right, let's go Mafe. Boye Mafe.
Okay.
Dotson at 29.
Dotson at 29. Boye Mafe at 30.
Why are you certain that Lewis Seen is going in the first round?
It just seems like that's what the.
These are sources, or are you just speculating?
No. Just sort of. Aggregating the buzz.
Oh, okay. All right.
At 31, Josh, you are on the clock for the Bengals, who seem destined to take a cornerback.
Oh, you spoiled it. I was going to give them a lot of
things, Josh.
I was going to give them Devontae Wyatt if he had been there, but Wilson just snaked me right before the pick. So I'm going to have to take Kyler Gordon, the cornerback out of Washington, here at number 31 overall. I did briefly consider George Karlaftis because I think he's a better player than what this value would indicate. But I think Kyler Gordon is a more immediate need for this franchise.
All right.
I love that pick.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
I mean, I swear to you, the back end of this first round is the most wide open, like 10 to 15 picks I've ever seen in a first.
Tampa,
first
Green Bay, Kansas City, Cincy, Detroit could all trade out.
Oh yeah, any of these. I mean, you have all these teams with the 2 picks. There's not a lot of there's no consensus once you get past the top 10 or 15 prospects about where anybody ranks. Like you could go 25th or you could go 50th, and I don't think it would be that shocking, right?
So what are you doing? So
Right
Detroit
on the
took.
clock. It's actually Traps on the clock at 32.
It's me. It's me.
Oh, so they took. Who'd they take at the top? Did you take Aiden?
I took Aiden, yeah.
Okay, so what are you doing?
So to make up for
What about the Purdue guy? Did he not go? The
Karlaftis. You took Mafe. You want to switch it? You can't because Josh already made his pick. You can't go back. Former Vikings coach. What's his name? The guy who missed the pick.
Who was it? God, the Panthers drafted. Who did the Panthers draft? The Panthers
Is that
took
Denny
somebody
Green?
when the Vikings.
No,
missed.
it wasn't Denny Green. It was the guy with the balding, dark hair, tall.
Childress. Yeah.
No, bigger than him.
Mike Tice.
Mike Tice. There it is.
Mike Tice, yes, it was.
The other balding Vikings coach.
Yes, not the big guy, not the little guy.
You're at 32 Traps. And you have 60 seconds before Wilson storms off the set.
All right, I'm going to go Sky Moore, Western Michigan, to make up for me picking Trevon Walker for the Seahawks when I didn't really want to. This would be a pick that I would adore because I've loved Sky Moore since I watched him in January. I have a mid-first round grade on him. And what I've said, I think Sky Moore will look back on it will be that in those redraft articles that I'll probably have to write or Josh or Ryan will have to write, Sky Moore will be a first-round pick in those redrafts. He's a really, really good all-around wide receiver.
All right. I dig it. That's the first round. That's the mock draft that we did, mostly live, some over the weekend. Some,